So today we're going to be talking about scientific notation. This has been a middle school standard, but from past experience, one, either you guys need a refresher, or two, it wasn't taught as well as I would have hoped it would have been in middle school. So we're first going to start with scientific notation. Scientific notation is a shorter method to express either very large numbers or very small numbers based on the powers of 10. The first number is called the coefficient, and it's referred to in your textbook as an M factor. It has to be greater or equal to 1 and less than 10. So you can't have something that says like 200 times 10 to the fourth. That becomes 2 times 10 to the sixth. So the number always has to be only 1 in the ones place when you have your scientific notation. The second number is known as our base number. It must always be a 10. You don't have scientific notation that's like 2 times 2 to the third. We're always in base 10 in scientific notation. The last number is the exponent, or the power of 10 number. It's the one that's up high, next to the number 10. And in your book, it's referred to as n. So when you have a really large number, you want to place the decimal after the first number and then count how many places that you move to the end of that number. So for example, if we move our decimal here after the ones place and count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that took us to the end of the number, so that becomes 1.23 times 10 to the 8th. For really small numbers, ones that start with zeros, you're going to move the decimal to the place after the first actual digit, okay? And then you're going to count how many moves that is. So we're going to take this decimal and move it after the 1, and it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times to move it there. And because it's a small number, we use a negative exponent. So it says to the negative 6th power, right here. However, using scientific notation on our calculators is way more important to me than be able to take numbers in and out of scientific notation. Something I've seen in the past is that students feel that a scientific notation number isn't the same as their value, when it actually can be. 2 times 10 to the third means 2,000, and either answer is a correct response, okay? So there's a cheat button on your calculator. It has 2 capital E's. It is not a lowercase e. That's an inverse of a natural log, and don't touch it until you get to a higher math. What we want is this double E button. And so the way you use it is you type in your coefficient as it's given, right? That's the number part. You don't type the times, the 10, or the little caret to make it an exponent. You just hit the E. So the E button is like a cheat, and what it does is it makes that calculator know that that is one number versus a times and a 10. You're going to have to use parentheses, and that becomes very confusing for your math. So for example, 1.23 times 10 to the 8th would type in 1.23 E8, and it's all one number, okay? And this will make our lives easier. So I want to show you that on just the calculator that's on my computer here, right? So for example, let's say I wanted to multiply these two numbers, okay? So I'm going to take my calculator, I'm going to type in 1.23. Here's that, not the little e, and not the e with an X, the 2 capital E's. However, on this Mac, when you type it, it does come out as a lowercase e, and that does bother me slightly. But this is the E button that I hit, and now I just need the exponent of times 10 to the 8th. I don't type in the times, the 10, or the 8. Just the 8 goes with the E, okay? And I'm going to multiply that times 1.23. Again, I'm just going to type in the E, and here I have to type in a 6, then the negative. On your calculator, you might be able to do the negative and then the 6. And I hit equals, right? And then there's my value, 151.29. would be my answer if I had to multiply those two numbers in scientific notation. A lot of students they want to just take numbers out of scientific notation before they do their math. And the problem is that in chemistry, we deal with very tiny things, atoms. And those particles, if we're counting them, if you're counting atoms, there's a lot, right? And so we have a whole special number for that. And it's this number right here, 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd power. No one is writing out 21 zeros, okay? So when we have this value and we're going to use it in math, let's say we want to divide that by 2.3 times 10 to the 20th power, right? Again, I'm just going to use that E button, and then I get my value right here, right? So the 2,617. The numbers that we're going to be using are very, very large. And so using those numbers, we want to be able to use our calculator to help us do that math. Okay? So your PL assignment is to practice using your calculator with scientific notation. Good luck.